Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Although usually on this channel I'm trying to talk about topics related to sustainability or somehow related to the environment, but today I want to talk about a topic that it's not directly related to the environment, but I think it's part of the global problems, of the world problems, and also I believe that this is the topic that more people should be aware about. And in other words, let's talk about toxic charity. Well, let's start from the very beginning. When you think of charity, you think of something good. You think of helping people or solving some problems, helping people go through their troubles, and so on. You probably assume that whatever is related to charity or any non-profit organizations is actually good. It's something that should be done. It's something that we need more. It's something that obviously positive. And the first time I heard about the term toxic charity, I was thinking this is probably about some bad people doing charity for the wrong reasons. But in reality, the toxic charity is the charity when people actually have good hearts, they're doing something for the good reason, but they don't understand that in some situations, the way how they do this charity is not necessarily a good thing. So this is what my video is about. Then when we, especially people living in places like North America or like Western Europe, when we try to help other countries, when we try to help other people, when we donate to some cause, when we give our money to some charity organizations, we shouldn't be just thinking like, oh, since I donated some money to a great cause, that's enough. I did a good thing, the good thing necessarily gonna happen. We have to understand what extent our help and our participation in certain charities can be a wrong thing, can be a harmful thing. So in this video, I will share some things that I learned myself, how charity can be a bad thing. I will talk about different issues, and also I will recommend certain books and videos and other YouTube channels to watch so you can actually educate yourself more. Obviously, I'm not an expert in charity, I'm not an expert on the issue, but once I heard the term toxic charity and I did my little own research, I really wanted more people to know about that. That's why I'm doing this video. So, what can be wrong with charity? Let's assume there is a country that we would call like developing country or undeveloped country. I might use the term wrong since English is not my native language, or sometimes we call it third world countries. Let's assume we have this country and we see that, oh, people don't get enough education, people don't get enough food, people don't have enough schools or hospitals or anything. So people in the first world or in the developed countries, they rush to those countries that are less privileged and try to help them. They bring food, they bring supplies, they bring some help and experts to help them, fight their problems. And we assume that since these people are missing certain things, if we just bring them the stuff that they miss, that's how we're going to solve the problem. The reality, and especially in the history of charity, continents like Africa, they were flocked with different charity and non-profit organizations. They were sent tons and tons of food and supplies and other things, but we don't see how those things helped develop these countries and get them out of the bad situation. Let's say how we help these countries to get out of poverty. There is an awesome chart that shows how the financial aid was exponentially growing. At the same time, the economical growth in the countries of the continent of Africa wasn't doing that well. I will link this article down in the description below. So we assume that these people have certain needs, we just cover these needs and that solves the problem. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen this way. If somebody is hungry, we don't just give him fish. We actually have to provide him with the fishing pole, also with the skill. So we basically teach them how to do fishing so they can tend for themselves. So lots of the times, I'm not saying all the charity organizations are bad. That's not my idea in this video. But when we just bring free stuff to the other countries, that countries are in need, in our opinion, we forget to give them opportunities. Instead, we give them solutions. So instead of teaching them to fish, we give them the fish. So what happens in the end? We basically create two new problems. The first problem, we create dependency. So now these people depend on us because next time they get hungry again, we need to bring them more fish, and we bring more and more and more fish. They not only depend on us, they also grow into people who are now thinking like, why would I bother doing something if I just wait a little bit more and somebody comes and brings me the fish, We not only create the dependency, we also take resilience from these people. The worst part, we not only take resilience from them and ability, to survive themselves, we also actually take pride from them. Because when you're giving something, if you're giving handouts, even if you're a person in need, obviously most people would prefer to get the opportunity instead of getting just the free stuff forever and being dependent on somebody who's helping me. So every time when you think like, oh, I can donate my clothes or I can donate this and that, and send it to some country that needed that particular clothes or needed that particular items, you have to think that technically you're not giving these people the opportunity to develop themselves, to develop their country, to build their economy. You're just creating this dependency. And this is not the best way how the charity should be done and solve the issue. And if you look at the history of all the charity organizations that worked on the continent of Africa or in some countries of South and Central America, we see the examples when they do it for years and years and the economy doesn't get up, the economy doesn't grow. Because what this type of approach does, providing handouts and free stuff instead of providing the opportunities, it actually perpetuates the poverty. As well, it doesn't solve the long-term issues, it's just a quick fix. Basically, the idea is if the local economy has to rely on food sent from abroad, on financial aid, that means that the local farmers are not being used to grow foods, or local food industry doesn't get enough of demand. And if local food industry and farmers don't get enough demand, they basically go out of business. So some people lose jobs, there is not enough food supply, so it's a vicious circle. But that country stays poor and needs another financial aid. They're just gonna destroy the economy even more. Recently, I watched this movie, it's a documentary, it's called The Poverty Inc. And it actually tells more in detail and probably in a better language, that's what I'm doing here right now. It actually gives you real life examples of things I'm talking about. And the way how they explain in this movie, you have to understand the difference between something that needs a quick fix, that needs some help in the case of disaster, especially natural disaster, let's say it's a hurricane or it's an earthquake or something. And this is something that should be done, obviously, if people are in the area where they need food and shelter and other countries can come and help them, give them right now because they just survived through natural disaster. That's one thing. But there are lots of examples, and this movie are giving examples about Haiti, how after years and years after this natural disaster was long gone, there were still like some free food and free stuff flocking into the country and actually destroying the local economy.
In the 80s, Haiti was self-sufficient on rice. That is true. In the 80s, we ate rice twice, at the most 3 times a week. Rice was a luxury item. The farmer was producing other and a more balanced nutritional system. That was some sort of a Haitian culture. When they started flooding the Haitian market with subsidized rice, what actually happened is that rice became a cheaper commodity, and rice has become the center of the eating habit. From 3 times a week, now we're consuming rice 3 times a day, 7 days a week. People eat rice for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. Because rice has become so cheap, but it has become so cheap because it was subsidized. Because farmers could not make a living outside in their rural area, they moved in looking for better days into Port-au-Prince, and we overbuilt slums. And what it did is it actually created more poverty.
So another reason why sometimes helping some countries, let's say developing world, just coming as a charity organization that brings lots of donated stuff for free, this actually also kills the local economy. In the same movie that I just mentioned right now, they gave another example how there was a local business creating like solar panels, and they were doing this solar panels from scratch. They were actually creating job opportunities for members of the community. They started this business almost like in a garage, and then they were slowly expanding it. But what happened next, and what actually almost killed this business, there were another charity organization from abroad that came to this particular community and decided to provide solar panels for free from abroad. So actually, instead of doing little research, instead of studying the local economy, instead of actually finding this company and maybe helping them find new markets, basically creating the opportunities, helping this company to actually grow and create more job spots, for local people to work there. Instead, they just brought free solar panels from abroad. Obviously, when you think of this, oh, it's such a great thing we did. We just brought a bunch of solar panels for this community. Now they can have electricity. Now they can have access to modern commodities or modern utilities. I don't know. Instead, by doing something good, they completely killed this local business. And there are like numerous examples like that when the charity organizations, without understanding what's going on the local level, in the local community, community. They just bring something from outside and it completely kills the market and the economy. There was another example in this movie. The foreign company from the European Union brought some experts that were doing certain projects on internet, although there are already local experts in the area. So the government hired the company from abroad to do certain internet services, and this foreign company did some of the job themselves, but for the rest of the job, for the least interesting, for the, like almost for the low paid job, they actually hired local specialists. So think of it. The local government hires foreign company, gives the money to the foreign company, and then the foreign company hires local people, but basically paying them a little bit of money. So all the money that government sent abroad was just lost abroad instead of actually directly paying to the local company. The reason why they didn't pay for the local company, because there was a charity organization, non-profit organization involved that was actually controlling who is doing the work and who is, fulfilling this project and who gets the budget. So every time we do something good, we also can have a consequence of actually hurting the local economy even more. Another way how I look at the charities now, I try to see how deeply they're involved with the local community. Are they the guys who just come basically from the top and tell the local communities the way how they should solve their problem? Or they actually work from the bottom up when they work closely and with the local community and create support and opportunities for them, but they don't try to tell the local community how to solve their problem. Because another big issue with charity organization is that lots of foreign non-profit organizations would come to a certain country and assume that these foreign organizations, they know better how to live their life. Of course, in the comfort of your, living room or whatever office, when you look at some other countries that you assume it's developing or undeveloped country, you always think, oh, these people don't know how to solve those issues. Oh, those people don't know how to do things. I'm the expert. I'm going to come and teach them how to live their life. But in a lot of situations, this approach again creates new problems. We can be big expert in something, but without knowing the local realities, we can't really use our knowledge in the right way. And if you just come there blindly and try to do it our way, that means we're gonna, destroy the culture. We're gonna destroy how things are done, historically in this place, and so on and so forth. Another thing, when we bring some experts from outside, assuming that our experts are so good that they're obviously going to do something better, we deny the fact that this country might already have experts who are good enough or even better, plus they know the local insights, than the experts we can bring from abroad. And also think of the fact that, imagine we take 5 doctors from America and pay them to go work in a certain country, in a local hospital. How much do you think we need budget-wise to pay these 5 doctors from America, instead of actually finding doctors inside this country that already exist and actually paying them to, open a hospital or help them to build a hospital or something? The American doctors will be paid tens and hundreds more than the local doctors. So every time we bring the expert from outside, before looking for a local expert, we actually waste money. Another great example for that was from the YouTuber Hiram. He made a whole video actually on the toxic charity topic, and I will link it down below as well. And he said how when he was a teenager, he was a missionary and he would go to other places. I think he mentioned Haiti, to help rebuild schools, rebuild homes and stuff like that. And he said the budget that was spent to actually send all these kids, to go and help locals to rebuild their school was enormous. And thinking of the fact that what American teenager knows about rebuilding homes. So instead of actually spending that budget more efficiently by hiring local builders or by actually creating more opportunities or supporting locals into actually rebuilding their own homes, maybe bringing other people from the same country, let's say builders from the same country but from other regions, instead of doing something like that, they bring in teenagers that have no idea about construction or just wasting lots of money on just being sent abroad, from America to Haiti, to being placed in nice homes, to being, I don't know, entertained and stuff like that. So they obviously go as volunteers, but there is so much money involved into actually creating this mission and sending this mission to this country. And again, when local people see some kids helping them rebuild the homes, is it about dignity? Is it about pride? Is it about creating opportunity, or actually creating dependency and taking the resilience away from these local people? As well as assuming that some teenagers can do better job in rebuilding somebody's home than local people. Does make sense.
When I went on my first humanitarian trip, my mindset going into the country was thinking, I want to help in some way and fix a problem that they can't fix themselves. But upon arriving in the country and starting to build the house, we quickly realized that the local people who lived there had the same, if not better, technical skills than we did. They were much more equipped and fit to build a house more than a group of 17-year-olds were. And we were actively encouraged to stop and prevent the locals from trying to help in building the house, because we were the ones who booked this trip to come to the country and fix this problem. This was not their responsibility. But the problem that this creates in communities is that it spreads the message to them that they are not able to fix their own problems. It disables them from being able to support themselves. Not only that, it creates self-doubt in locals and can cause some humiliation. Try to empathize and imagine yourself in that scenario. You're in a bad situation and you need support, but you're told that the only way that you can be supported is if an entire group of teenagers from another country thousands of miles away travels all the way there to do that project for you.
There is a good book on toxic charity. It actually has the same name. It's called Toxic Charity. I would also recommend you to read it. This book also tells you lots of examples how just giving people handouts instead of giving opportunities doesn't work. And also it gives great examples on how just coming into some country and doing the job for them also doesn't work. There was a great example, I don't remember the exact details, but it goes like there was this mission when they came to a certain village and they realized, for example, this village doesn't have access to the fresh water, so they decided to build a well. They brought some foreign experts and builders who went to this village, created this beautiful well, and after they came few years or months later, the well was broken, nothing was working there, because the local community assumed that since the foreign people came and built it, they would come again and fix it, and then they would come again and fix it again. And then there was another example when they decided to provide the local villagers access to the fresh water, so they created the whole project, but instead of actually just coming and making it for this particular village, they gathered the whole village. They found the expert who knows how to build wells from the same country, so it was like a same national. So this person came, he told the people from this village what's needed to be done in terms of constructing this well, how much money is needed, and it made every person in the village, like every household in the village, give some money in order for this well to be built. And you would think like, oh my God, these people already don't have money. Why would we make them pay for this well instead of actually just providing it for free? But it turns out, years and years later, this well was well taken care of. The local community was deeply involved into making sure this well still works. At some point, they even had some abundance of water that was selling to other villages. Why it happened compared to the other projects? Because these people paid their own money, and money was scarce there for this particular project. So they knew that since they spent already all the money they owned for this project, they felt responsibility, they felt ownership of this project. Again, the difference between these two projects, it's in terms of creating the opportunity. In the first project, we just came, did it for somebody, assuming that they are unable, not capable to do something for themselves, and we gave it for free as a handout, and it didn't work. In the second situation, we created opportunity for them. We helped them by bringing the local expert. Maybe we provided them with certain materials, or I don't know, maybe brought some other help that can teach locals how to build this well, but we gave them the opportunity, we gave them the knowledge. Another way how the charity can be super toxic, I remember there was an example, either in the book or in this movie that I mentioned. Some people in Australia decided to collect toys and send them to some country in need so the kids can have access to the toys. But the joke of the situation was that the toys that they actually sent back to this country was almost produced in this country. So when we send some things like we say, oh, I'm gonna donate my clothes to some country in need, we don't think of the fact that in the first place, we bought this abundance of clothes that we we now need to donate because we don't want to wear it, that was produced in a country where child labor was used, that people had to work in a crazy condition, that sweatshops was used. So first we produce this clothes in a country for super low amount of cost. So these people barely make 50 or I don't know, $100 a month for working like full time. And then we feel like, oh, and now we're going to send these clothes back to them, or we're going to send these toys back to them so they can enjoy some free stuff from the, like first world. And this is the biggest and the saddest joke. What do I mean by creating opportunities? There is a term that's called microloans. The idea of this microloans is that in lots of countries, like some small businesses, especially in developing countries, sometimes people only need $50 or $100 to start their own business. Let's say they want to open like a stall and sell some street food, or maybe they want to start doing some farming or something. They need a very little amount of money to actually create the opportunity for themselves to earn money for their family. So instead of providing them free stuff, we can actually create this opportunity for them. There are actually certain organizations that help local communities with this microloan concepts. For example, there is a website called Kiva. So what this website is about, it's the whole network of local non-profit organizations that help people apply for a microloan through this website. And people like me and you who are ready to donate some money to the good cause can actually choose the applicants on this website and donate some money. So these people can actually, through all this donation, get this microloan. The idea of this microloan, it's not a free money, it's not a donation. These people have to obviously provide a plan how they're going to use money. Through local organizations, they are checked, so they are really use the money on the cause. It's not a scammy something. They really like not only use money on the purpose, but also they are given a certain period of time after what they have to return their loaned money, because it's a loan, it's not a free flow. The great idea is sometimes it's only $50, sometimes it's only $200. So it's easy to find donors, like people like you and me through this website who would donate, who would give this money. Then these people going to get a loan and they're going to finally get this opportunity to start their own business, or maybe to fix like a problem that exists in their budget right now.
With Kiva, you choose how you make a difference. When you lend $25, Pamela opens her jewelry shop in Nairobi, Kenya. Kang can access clean water for his village in Laos. Sunapula provides milk for her village in Mumbai, India, and Sumira expands her bridal business in Ale, Lebanon. When your loan is repaid, relend it and invest in others. 100% of your money empowers people.
I'm not saying that Kiva is the best solution and everyone has to run and go and donate to it, but check it out. It was really interesting for me to know that these things exist. And for me personally, doing something like Kiva is much better than just sending some random donations to some huge, big charity organizations that are, God knows how they even spend their money. And basically the new way to look at charity is to change the way how we approach charities and the way how the charities are done. And basically there are like certain principles I want to mention. One of the principles is I'm not doing something for somebody, but I'm doing something with somebody. So if there is a certain local community that has a problem, I don't do something for them. I do something with them. I include them. I make sure they participate. I'm sure that their voices are listened to. I'm sure that they are given opportunities and not just handouts. Another thing that also comes from here, I don't decide for other communities or for other people how to solve their problem, how they should live their life. I actually amplify their voices and make them find the solution themselves, and meanwhile I'm supporting them so they can actually find this better solution for themselves. And the third principle is actually that people don't want to be receivers of handouts, they want to be consumers. There is another thing I want to talk to you about, and it probably deserves a separate video. Maybe I will do it one day, but let's just squeeze it in right now so I share this knowledge with you. We usually assume that charity organization or non-profit organization is the way to go. But recently, I think there is a good rise of for-profit organizations that actually are existing not for sake of just making money and making the CEO of the company buy another jet, but they actually exist to make profit that could be sent for a great cause. cause. I already did a video about a similar organization. It's the search engine and the browser Ecosia. They're actually a for-profit organization, but most of their profit go on the forestations of the planet. But that's one thing. There are a bunch of other like smaller organizations that are also for-profit, but they exist. They also call them sometimes a social enterprise, but they actually exist to help to solve local issues. If you want, to donate any money to the charity, this is also a great way to spend your money, to find even in your local community, because sometimes we try to help countries that are abroad, but we have problems within our countries as well. And even America has so many problems inside. It's a funny joke that we try to help everyone abroad as if we don't have our own problems. And a great way to actually spend your money to find some local for-profit organizations that are helping local communities with the certain needs. One of the great examples about that is there is a huge debate whether food banks are a great way to help local empowered communities or not. Opposed to food banks, there is a similar way to solve the issue of people who don't have access to food, but creating co-ops. Co-ops make people pay for the food, but they give them discounted prices, or they find some ways when the people can pay for this food with their work or with other things. So basically they have to do something to get this free food, and it's not free, but the way how the whole system in this co-op is created that they can actually afford to have. And the great thing about co-ops is, again, it gives people back their dignity.
So I've been volunteering once a week at the Quest grocery store. If you're low income or you feel like you're in need, you can apply to shop at Quest. And they stock the whole store with donated food, so they can sell it at a really reasonable rate. And it's a really good bridge in between the food bank and the regular grocery store.
Nobody can walk in off the street and shop at Quest. You have to be designated, because the goal is to help those in need and not those that have.
People want to be consumers. They don't want to be receivers of handouts. And this is important. If you want not to just help people in their current problem, but we also want to feel pride and feel hope and feel any positive future, we have to create them opportunities. I have to tell you, it was really hard for me to make this video because this topic is very important and I'm trying to choose the right words, and English fails me sometimes in these situations when I'm trying to explain things, and I hope I could actually bring my message, at least some of it. I advise you to watch this documentary Poverty Inc. and as well as read the book Toxic Charity, or just do one of them. It already will give you enough information, or maybe better information. I would say watch the movie. And the last thing that I want to say before I will finish this video, basically, let's say you want to donate any money to the charity. What should you do now after you learn all this information and you don't want to be the one participating into bad side of the charity? First of all, don't just randomly donate to whatever organizations just popped up on the internet. Do your research. Figure out what exactly this organization doing. How exactly are they helping? Are they just providing handouts and killing the local economy, or are they actually working closely with the local community and create opportunities in terms of education, in terms of people having new jobs, in terms of bringing some knowledge to the community, in terms of involving local community into solving their own problems and stuff like that. Also, always research where exactly you donate. There are several websites and I will list them here on the screen as well as down in the description below. There are 3 websites I know. One is Charity Navigator. Always check your charity organization there. Also, there is another one called Charity Watch, as well as give.org, and you can look at this website and see what they say about this charity organization that you want to donate. Are they ethical and are they sustainable? Although I said in the beginning of my video, this video will not going to be exactly about the topic of sustainability. In the end, it actually is, because not every charity organization that exists is actually sustainable. Not every charity organization is actually ethical. This is really sad. So it's our responsibility not only just give money to some good cause and think of ourselves that we are a great person because we did it. It's also our responsibility to make sure that this money actually brings good and not brings the toxic bad. I guess that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you have any other resources about toxic charity, please leave them down below. I would glad to watch other videos, read other books, as well as I want more people to know about, so share your knowledge. That would be really great. And see you in my next video in a week.